fragrances that are similar to Baccarat Rouge 540. So Baccarat Rouge, for a while, has been an extremely popular fragrance. Problem with it is that it's become a little bit oversaturated, and it's pretty expensive. It is primarily a spicy and sweet fragrance. But what kind of fragrances are similar to it? So that's what I'm going to cover in this video. And as always, if you're interested in any of the fragrances that I mentioned, they are available in the Amazon affiliate links down in the description below. So I'm going to start with one that I think is really similar to Baccarat Rouge, which is Instant Crush from Montserrat. So this is a unisex fragrance which is spicy and sweet like Baccarat Rouge. It even shares some of the same notes. Primarily saffron is one of its notes, along with a few woodsy notes and things like that. But in general, this is really similar. Like, I've put one on one wrist, Instant Crush, and the other wrist, Baccarat Rouge. They're very similar. The main difference I would say is that Baccarat Rouge is sweeter. It is more like a burnt sugar, creme brulee, cotton candy sort of thing. Instant Crush is sweet, but not that sweet, because it is more on the unisex side. The other difference is that Baccarat Rouge is a little bit stronger, just a touch stronger than Instant Crush, but Instant Crush is still really long lasting and really prominent with great longevity. There's not too much of a difference. You can kind of experiment with both the fragrances. You know, like if you want a slightly more toned down version of Baccarat Rouge, then you might as well just get Instant Crush, especially if you want a little bit more of a unisex option. But this is still a really good option. It's still long lasting, very effective. And it tones down sweetness just a little bit because sometimes Baccarat Rouge, its sweetness can be a little bit too much. Then, another one that I don't have is Ariana Grande Cloud. So this is kind of a classic celebrity fragrance. This is one that I've seen many people say it smells very similar to Baccarat Rouge. It has very similar sweetness. It kind of tingles the nose in the same way. Very strong. But I would say it might be even sweeter than Baccarat Rouge. If you like sweet fragrances, that will probably be fine for you. If you don't like sweet fragrances, you probably will not like it that much because it is really sweet. And super feminine as well, and very strong. Just, you know, kind of going all out on all fronts with Ariana Grande Cloud. I would say Baccarat Rouge is a little bit, I guess, kind of smoother and more refined compared to Cloud, but you know, it is still a matter of personal preference there. Then another one that is pretty similar, a little bit off the beaten path, which is Montal Arabian's Tonka Eau de Parfum. So this is obviously a tonka bean sort of fragrance, a little bit more on the Arabic side of things. So it does have that sweetness that you're looking for, but it also has the much warmer notes that you also get from Baccarat Rouge, but just at a more intense level. Tonka bean is a really delicious note, very kind of warm and musky, kind of like a dried fruit / incense / amber, like just all these really warm notes. So this particular fragrance from Montal is just kind of like Baccarat Rouge, but just a little bit less sweet, and then kind of amplifying its warmer notes. It's more musky, ambery sort of notes, which is, again, if you have more preference for those warmer notes versus the sweet notes, that's a good option to go for. And it is very strong. It is, you know, a solid fragrance. It's when you put it on, you're likely not going to have to reapply it for the rest of the day because it's just going to last all day. You know, very long-lasting fragrance, just in general. And of course, it is an extremely high-quality fragrance as well. So you know, when you put it on, you smell, you know, very refined, very high quality, and that sort of thing. Now, another kind of more mainstream option is Burberry Her. So this is a very sweet fragrance. Kind of like berries and fruits and cream, just like dessert. You know, this is a dessert fragrance. Very feminine. Kind of almost along the lines of La Vie est Belle from Lacombe. Not quite as caramely and stuff like that. This is more, again, fruity, sugary. Then it also has this foundation of kind of warm amber, a little bit of musk. Now, in terms of comparing it to Baccarat Rouge 540, I would say the sweetness, because I always say Baccarat Rouge, its sweetness is like burnt sugar a little bit, you know, like creme brulee, how that smells. Burberry Her is a little bit more of a berry, fruity, ripe fruit sort of smell. Still very sweet and sugary, but just kind of in a different way. But then it becomes more similar to Baccarat Rouge when you kind of get into those amber musk notes. I wouldn't say the musk notes are as heavy as a Baccarat Rouge, but you know, it's not an exact match. But then the last one that I have to mention is Haramain Amber Oud. So this is definitely more on the muskier side, kind of like you get that musky side of Baccarat Rouge and you take it out and you put it into something else and you just add some more layers to it. So the thing about this is that it is not quite as sweet, actually really not that sweet at all compared to Baccarat Rouge. It still has some sweetness from the florals that it has, but you're primarily getting this oud fragrance, and this generally kind of musky, ambery fragrance, which is similar somewhat to Baccarat Rouge's more musky notes, like the ambergris that it has, which is extremely musky, as well as some of the woodsy notes that it has. So again, Amber Oud here is just kind of like complementing Baccarat Rouge's more heavy and musky notes, and just kind of building off of those versus focusing solely on the sweetness that it has. Even though Amber Oud does still have some pretty prominent sweetness, just more of a focus on the oud and, you know, the musk and things like that. Also, as a bonus, because it's such a heavy fragrance, it is extremely, extremely long lasting. Again, one of those fragrances where as soon as you put it on, you will not have to put it on again for the rest of the day. You know, it might even continue into the next day. You know, if you just sleep with it on, it'll continue through the night. So, really good for longevity there. And of course, projection. You know, people will easily notice this one. And it's pretty unique. It's a sophisticated, more Arabic style fragrance, and you know, definitely, because it's not really mainstream, it really does a good job of cutting through the crowd, and you know, it's kind of just a more unique twist on Baccarat Rouge 540. But in general, that is my list of fragrances that smell pretty similar to Baccarat Rouge 540. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I make a few videos throughout the week, so don't forget about those.